Hello, my name is Talethea, and I am hoping that you all will come along with me as I work and plan and research and execute my intent to go from working from home full time to living on board cruise ships while also working full time. So let's do it.
What if the dream that you've had all these years isn't random? Like what if it's not really just this fly by night off far away thing that you've been thinking about for years and wanting to do and you just haven't done it yet. But it's not random. Like it really is probably like marching orders, something that you should have been going after. Like what if it just keep the thing that just keeps coming back to you and getting your attention, right? You see somebody else doing it and it's like, oh, good for them, but I wish I were doing that. Or you see somebody else doing it and it bugs you a little bit because you want to be doing that thing, whatever it is. Like for years, I've kind of had this dream. So it wasn't my dream wasn't cruise ships. My dream has always been for a long time to just see the world, to travel more, to go to all these different places that I see and meet new people, have new experiences. And it wasn't like the cruise ships thing wasn't necessarily on my radar. But seeing the world, going and traveling and doing things, and the freedom that comes with like getting to know historical stuff, like because I saw it in real life. You know what I mean? Some years ago, my girls and I went to New Orleans, and we were able to go to the World War II Museum and kind of see the different exhibits and things that were there. Or like years ago when I went to Honolulu, when we were able to see the things for like Pearl Harbor, and like knowing like the ships were actually down there and just being able to learn from like his learn and see history like in real time, not in real time, but like the places where people stood, and the stuff where things actually happened in real life. And that's something that's been on my mind and been on my heart for a long time. And so people ask me all the time, like, how are you gonna do this? How are you gonna live on cruise ships? How are you gonna pay for it? Aren't cruise ships expensive? You know what I mean? And my honest answer right now is really like, great question. I don't have all the answers. I do not know yet. But I know that something that's more valuable to me right now than having all the answers is I know I tend to I have figured out the art of figuring stuff out. So, and that's what I'm gonna be using as I kind of execute this part of my dream during this part of my life for this chapter. Unfortunately, or not, dreams don't always come with instructions. Like you have this idea of something that you want to do, and that you just don't always get instructions on how to do them. Like most people, they want to wait until they know exactly how to do this thing. And honestly, I see beauty in that too, right? It's wise. Like figure out the steps you want to take and the thing you want to do before you actually start doing it. I think that's a great idea in theory. I think oftentimes, especially in hindsight, when you've been successful at something, or if you've done something or experienced something and totally messed it up, you realize that you don't tend to always know what to do. You don't have every step mapped out. And even when you have had every step mapped out, there's all kinds of other stuff that like pops up that's unexpected. You didn't know would be a part of the thing, didn't go the way it was planned. And it's just like, and you have to kind of figure it out anyway. Think about it, y'all. Whether you had kids, gone to college, have been married, bought a house, started a business, anything, all those things. It's like even if you were one of the people who were smart enough to kind of figure it out and have a plan before you actually got started, along the way, all this other stuff pops up that just doesn't make sense. You don't know how, you didn't know it was coming, you have to figure it out. You didn't know it would be as hard as it was, you didn't know it would take as long as it did. And you don't always know, you don't tend to know all that stuff before you start. In fact, a lot of that stuff, if you knew how things would end up, you probably wouldn't have done it. Just depending on what it is, you know what I mean? But it's the your ability to figure it out as you go along is what got you that far. And that's honestly what's going to work for me as far as figuring out how to go and live on cruise ships and see the world and kind of build the life, continue to build the kind of life that I want. So how do you know if it's like actually a dream, right? And I think that's something that you may want to consider. Like, because some things could be a dream, some things could just be thoughts that you have. It crossed your mind and it left and you didn't think about it again. Or you didn't even think about it until you saw somebody else do it and your brain was like, well, that's a good idea. And then you like kept going, right? It wasn't necessarily something you needed to go after. So let's spend a little time on that. Just right now on purpose. Like, think about it. What idea of yours keeps coming back? What's something that just it crosses your mind and it keeps crossing your mind just throughout the different stages of your life? You thought about it way back when. You thought about it again. You kind of wanted to do it. You may have started to do it, but didn't really have the time or the resources or the bandwidth or whatever to keep going. Like, what is something that it just keep coming back? What's something that you research for fun? You kind of look at it and you see it and it's like, oh, that's a good idea. I'd kind of like to be able to do that. Love to be able to have more time or whatever to do that thing. Like, it keeps coming back. What's a rabbit hole that you always find yourself falling down? What channels, what influencers do you follow on like YouTube and Facebook and TikTok? People that are doing kind of the similar kind of stuff. Like, what can you imagine yourself doing 5, 10 years from now? What thing did you think about doing 10, 20, 15 years ago and you didn't do it? But every time you think about not doing it, you're like, oh man, I wish I'd done it. That was really something I wanted to do. What makes you say, I wish? I wish I had it one day. Because usually that tends to be where the dreams or the goals or the desires that you just have in your mind and your heart for your life. That's kind of where those are the things that kind of point to those things. So I would like to encourage you to take a little time today, now, even during this video, to kind of rethink that thing and just spend a little time tossing it around in your brain and asking yourself, okay, if I could, if it were to happen, if I were to do it right now, how would those first few steps look? Because look, I don't know anything about cruise ships. I have never been on a cruise. I am still working at home in my home office, talking about a plan to transition my life to go live on cruise ships full time, right? I don't know anything about cruise ships. I can't tell you a whole lot about actual cruises. The things that I've been talking to y'all about are the things that are on my mind, right? Seasickness, cabins, the things to take along to work, how I'm gonna work out internet and Wi-Fi, things like that, right? So I don't have all the answers. I actually don't have I have a lot more questions than I have answers at this point, but I know how to research. And I feel like research can change just about anything. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't feel like research is enough. I feel like you can research things and kind of figure them out as much as you know from where you are, from like a research point of view. But ultimately, you do have to execute. That's just, and so I am doing some executing, but honestly right now for this part of the journey, research is how I'm about to get started. Research is not necessarily about just reading one article. It's not necessarily about following one person. It's about following the questions that you have, right? Something across your mind, you'll have a question about it, and your research is what'll lead you to get the information you need so you can execute on the dream and the goal that you have. I'm actually okay with that. You know what I mean? So over the next year or so, if I find myself watching 50, 60 videos, having my people that I'm following and learning from, joining different Facebook groups, asking questions, taking notes, comparing my answers, reviewing the questions I had in the beginning and comparing the answers that I found out later on, things like that, noticing patterns and really kind of becoming a student. I think that's part of my superpower. I think that's why whenever I have goals or dreams or things that I want to execute and make happen, that's why they work out, because of the research part of things, but also like a sound, firm commitment to also executing and making things happen. So become a student. Figure out what you are interested in, how you want to do it, write down all your questions, and actually start researching things. I feel like that's where the motivation comes in, where when you have more questions and you're kind of wondering about how to do something, but then you actually start researching it and looking into it a little more. That's kind of where you that's kind of where I start to get a little more excited. Like, I could totally do this thing. You know what I mean? Like, and don't get me wrong. Usually it's something I tend to feel like I can do it anyway. But it is so cool to me to like find that next step, to get just enough life, like on that very next step, to kind of feel like, okay, not only can this thing happen, you know what I mean? But these are the steps that I can take to kind of get the ball rolling. And so that's kind of what I do. So keep that in mind, y'all. I think journaling is awesome. I think being able to write things down as you go is a good idea. But I also think there is some beauty in just kind of figuring things out as you prepare to execute. You know what I mean? Not so much that you're thinking and executing, you're thinking and researching, and you allow that to stop you from executing. Don't get stuck there. But I think just becoming a student of it and just finding all the information you can get from all the different venues, I think that's a great place to start. So I would like to encourage y'all to start doing that. Now, the next thing is like, I guess having the confidence to actually act on it, right? As you kind of figure things out and start to take these next steps, where does the confidence come from? And I honestly, I get that too.